Hello, fellow kindacritics. Today we're going to talk about A Star is Born and Venom. Let's start with the movie that probably everyone ended up going seeing, and that is A Star is Born. When Rocket Raccoon and Lady Gaga come together, it is beautiful. I think the achievement that Bradley Cooper has shown is that movies like 50 Shades and other romantic films don't have to feel like a product of pure fantasy, especially if I could get that on the lowest possible connection on websites for free. But a movie about love, while also carrying these emotions through well developed characters and good music, doesn't really hurt either. But that's not to say that Cooper used a basic outline from a movie that has been remade three times in different eras and different points of entertainment. I'm sure that helped a bit with a skeleton of a story like this. In fact, the cliche and maybe basic premise may feel all too familiar, especially since most romance films seem to take the idea of fame and what it can do to people. But of course, with any simple story, especially a romance, the two actors, Cooper and Gaga, propel the entire familiar story, and it really captivates. Of course, this all comes from the performances. The chemistry really takes shape, especially on the initial meetup, and I think the work that Cooper put as this gruff Arizona country singer is really what takes center stage. We see the sense of tragedy that he's able to portray while also making us sympathetic in his actions. Gaga, of course, makes an impressive debut that is part lonely singer turned icon that I feel not enough people are going to give her credit for. I think had they actually went with someone like Beyonce, which was part of the original plans during the production of the film, to portray this kind of character, she would have felt less believable, to be honest with you. I mean, she's just really successful. I don't think she could have really captured the emotions in this type of character. And yet, Gaga's own personal issues about her own looks feels like it was the right fit. Bringing them together creates a clear understanding, and I think for the most part avoids most of the trappings of the common romantic comedy, no, romantic movie path, especially since that shows the real heart of the story and how the movie takes its time to enjoy this like musical journey. Uh, Emotions. The movie tests the viewers, and I feel like a classic example of what isn't broke, don't fix it, and that is most definitely the second star of the film, which gives A Star is Born a sort of realistic musical element that always felt necessary. They could have easily milked the same song like five times, and it's definitely the song that you hear in the trailers a lot. But I think the direction of Cooper, with Cooper on the director's seat, was able to balance the use of music and melodrama that is really able to bring out the morality that entertainers deal with and the debauchery of the music industry. A Star is Born just works because it is a single cohesive story that is told and directed well with a two-person powerhouse that invested me to the very end, even if I knew things weren't going to end well. And trust me, if you didn't expect that, then you probably didn't watch the whole trailer. The rest of the cast that weren't the power couple felt very underutilized. The fact that Dave Chappelle shows up kind of feels jarring since he's only relegated to a meager plot point for a wedding, while Sam Elliott shows up on and off as Cooper's older brother, and that relationship never really solidified well and was one of the more interesting and poignant parts of the film that needed more fleshing out, and I think it definitely would have served better for the plot. Plus, the movie felt very general about the music industry and may have been a bit too clean, uh, especially when it gets darker towards the last third of the film. I think I kind of wish it pushed that envelope harder and longer because that's when it really became an emotional thrill ride for the characters. Aside from the gripes, this is probably a bit more focused on chemistry, performances, and music that never felt like it overstayed its welcome. 6 stars out of 6. Alright, Venom time. But seriously, why does this not suck as much people have been telling me? In my time as a wee lad, when superhero movies weren't everywhere, I saw movies like Halle Berry's Catwoman, Ben Affleck's Daredevil, and Jennifer Lopez? I don't remember. But Elektra got her fucking movie too. Could they have been interesting takes on comic book movies for characters that general audiences have never seen before? Hell no, because Iron Man did that a few years later. Now, for the second time, we get the black tar bastard himself, Venom. And it is as much of a story that an entire money-hungry studio could stretch out for a character that in the comics was always a cool design, I mean, you gotta admit, Venom's design as his buffed out and slimy Spider-Man villain just worked really well. On his own, I'm not sure they knew what they were doing, though. Let's roll the first trailer for Venom, because this is where they were still marketing this as a dark horror movie with a great actor. Now let's look at a Venom in a fucking football commercial. Now this is where the marketing made this a pile of dog shit. And I can definitely see this as getting the Suicide Squad treatment. And yet everything that came together in the first 2 acts of the film actually worked for me. This is a B-grade sci-fi with dark humor, and I freaking love it. And it made sense why the director of Zombieland was a part of this. It completely falls apart after each plot point, but it is still a pretty cohesive narrative. And like Suicide Squad, the real savior of this entire dumpster fire is the chemistry between 2 characters. In this case, Tom Hardy talking to himself. He voices Venom and plays Eddie Brock. The banter, the stupid conversations, and the relatability between a loser alien and a dirty journalist really sold some of these scenes. The action is not half bad either, but it definitely won't be the quality that is Upgrade's direction, which is probably what a lot of people are comparing this movie to. Yet I really felt the vein of Venom, or veins, come from the symbiotic relationship between Venom and Eddie. Everyone else relegates to this basic character. We get the love interest's new boyfriend, and the bad guy. But I gotta admit, they acted their asses off, and not a single one of them felt like an annoying piece of crap. I think the real issues come from how much they rushed the last third of the movie, how I never really felt the stakes were raised, the rules and non-rules of symbiotes that will probably...
We call them symbiotes.
Terrible score that uses opera music and tension when there is none. It may feel like an empty void in terms of artistic films, but let's look at all these Marvel movies and call them artistic. Haha, no. I was never bored with it. It really wasn't a boring movie. Somehow, this movie let me give some kind of shit, it made me give a shit about this stupid alien. And God knows I was not expecting that. Venom gets 3 stars out of 6 somehow. It's not so bad it's good, and yet I don't think you're missing out too much watching this in theaters. But I guess that doesn't really matter, doesn't it? Alright, today was a short review, so I figured I'd show you, let's call this Kinda Comics, really quick. Kinda Comics! Ah! So, the marketing for Venom is fucking terrible, and I'm going to show you why. So this was given to us by AMC when you went to go see Venom. So this is the Venom comic book. You think this is like its own storyline, or it explains like it's a prequel to the movie. No, this is literally scenes from the movie. So if you got this, or somebody that you know hasn't seen the movie and they have this in their possession, don't read it, because it is literally spoiling like the middle part towards the end of the freaking movie. It is absolutely garbage. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. So look at what Tom Hardy is saying. You remember that scene where he's like, "Oh yes, you're bad at hiding in plain sight." So he's like, "You suck, however. You lack even the fundamental ability required to form even the most basic covert existence, whoever you are." That's not Tom Hardy. He doesn't talk like a freaking smartass or whatever this is. He's not an intellectual. It doesn't even look like Tom Hardy. That's the worst part. He looks like freaking Tobey Maguire if he worked out a little bit and had a shitty hoodie. But anyway, the worst part is it literally shows scene by scene parts of the action part where he's, using his tendrils. It's ridiculous. Like, what if somebody read the comic book before they went to see the movie, and then they just ruined parts of the scenes for them? And then we get this really shitty... Oh, by the way, the colors look disgusting. All of this is all the colors you see in every panel. It is disgusting. Look at this. This took no effort for them. A bunch of I don't know what they did. This is disgusting. And then, oh my god, just when you think it's over, this preview is over, this next part literally spoils a scene from the movie that probably everyone's talked about. That's so stupid. You know? Well, this is cool at least, but no. Don't get it.